welcome back for session 2. So I've drawn out my portrait for this particular image here, probably by the artist Lucas Cranach or Pieter Bruegel, as I mentioned previously in the last video. I'd say from the Renaissance period. What I've done over here is I've used these watercolour tinlets to create this kind of light yellow tone, which you can see here on the face. And the colours that I have used is basically white, some yellow, okay, and a little bit of this orange, this kind of yellow ochre orange to create this. I also then test the colours on here first, so I'm going to show you up here. I'm kind of happy with that, so I'm going to give it a light little wash all over on the face. And because the paint is very thin and light, it doesn't really affect the pencil line underneath. And what's great is the fact is that you can actually start to see the pencil lines underneath, which is what you want at this stage. Okay, so just loosely all over, create like an underpainting. That's what this is known as. Alright, just basically on the actual face, we're just concerning ourselves with flesh tone. So you kind of end up with something like that, yeah? Then, what we do is we use a little bit of this brown, okay, to create some shadow areas, some darker shadow areas here. Using a bit of tissue nearby, just to dab off the excess water, just so that the paint doesn't overrun. And then I'm going to start by adding some tone in here as well, so that the portrait starts to look a bit more human and a bit more three-dimensional. Alright, like so. And this is kind of like the second to third stage of the portrait. The first stage is the outline drawing, the second stage is the underpainting, and then the third stage is applying the shadow into the darkest of areas. Alright, you can even use your finger just to kind of coerce the paint up a little bit, like so. What you can then start to use, you can start to downsize your brushes to something like this. So first of all, I've been using a brush of this size, okay. Now I'm downsizing to this one, purely because I want to apply a little bit more detail here. So I'm going back to my paints now, okay. Using a bit of blue and brown, remember, to kind of create things in a more three-dimensional fashion rather than using black, because that kind of makes things look a little flat, which is what we don't want. So, for instance, with the eye, I'm going to start to paint in like the pupil of the eye now. All right. Now, don't be kind of alarmed that the colours look really light, because they're going to at this stage. It's going to take time to build up the colours and to build up the detail. All right. Going back and checking there as well. All right. And while the paint is still wet, you can kind of use a clean brush just to sort of coerce the colours where you want them to go, okay? I know at the moment it looks like he's been punched in the face with a black eye, but you can kind of rectify that by just getting rid of some of the paint with a clean brush, okay? You can even use another brush that's totally clean like this one, and you can just taper off the paint as you go. Yeah, do you see what I mean? So then you can even downsize even further here to a smaller brush. Now, I confess I've used a bit of black, which is a bit naughty, but that's okay. That's fine. So I'm now starting to focus on a particular area, providing I haven't overloaded my brush. This should start to take shape now, okay? Focusing on the eye, of course, and going back to my painting. I will upload videos as often and as when I can throughout this difficult stage, so do bear with me here. But it's very nice of you to join. As I say, on YouTube you can Google my name, Lindsay Pickett, and you should be able to find them that way, or of course they'll be on the Moodle page as well. So if you need any extra help, just have a look online and you can see my tutorials there. Very faint eyebrow there, almost nothing actually. Okay, so I'm just holding it still and you can see what I've done so far. So as you can see, I think it's important to do the eyes first. Alright, Hit a like and subscribe on this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.